Welcome to Lancashire's Fostering Service. My name is Jill Green and I'm the Team Manager for the Recruitment and Assessment Team. This film has been made with the help of Lancashire's foster carers. It's for people who have been interested in fostering and just want to find out a little bit more about it. Lancashire has hundreds of children ranging from tiny babies through to older teenagers who need fostering. They cannot live with their own families and they need fostering families to look after them from anything from a few days right through to permanently. Lancashire has many experienced and committed foster carers from all walks of life. A few of them have been filmed here to share their views and experiences of fostering. The film also includes some views from carers' birth children and also young adults who have previously been looked after children. We hope that you will enjoy watching the film and that it will help you gain some insight into the role of a foster carer. For more information and the opportunity to discuss further with a social worker from the team, please go to our website or phone the free phone number which will be shown at the end of the film. Thank you very much for considering fostering Lancashire's children.
Now you're very good at that one.
Rachel? Hi, my name's Steve and we've been fostering now for 3 years. I've got two sons who are 22 and 19 and Rachel's my second wife, and we decided that we weren't going to have a family together as such, so Rachel's a youth worker, very much involved in teenagers and youngsters, and we felt that we could help some children along the way, and Rachel's a smashing parent and that's how we started fostering 3 years ago.
We're in a lucky position really that I worked for a charity that closed down, so it seemed the ideal time to go into fostering, because Steve was in full-time employment, so it meant that I could dedicate my time to whatever children came along. And because I worked with teenagers, we decided to go for the younger age, but maybe in a few years, you know, that might change and we might look at older children. Currently we're passed for 0 to 8 year olds. We had our first placement, didn't we, within just a few days of being passed as foster carers, and we got siblings. We got a boy and a girl, the boy aged 3 and a girl of 6.
I started fostering when my first daughter was about 2 years old, and I had two young sisters at that time that we cared for about 9 months, and that was a very good experience, but I decided that I was going to have another child, and so we sort of got into having children, and so I left fostering for many years, and then I took it up again when my children had all gone to university or were working and what have you, and my youngest son was about to leave school. At that time I'd started to feel very lonely. I felt it was like the children leaving the nest syndrome, and I decided that I'd go back into fostering. So I did, and I've been fostering ever since.
We got in touch with social services to see what their kind of standpoint was on fostering.
Quite off the cuff really, wasn't it? It was simply because he'd had that initial meeting in Cardiff with the foster care that we really started discussing it.
Yeah.
So when they actually phoned up, it was actually me who took the call. We just arranged a set up a meeting.
Yeah, and we liked the fact they had a more personal kind of, it was more child-centred. We kind of rolled from there really.
I got fostering as what is now known as family and friendly fostering, and it was when things weren't too good at home and 3 of my younger siblings went into foster care, and I decided that no one else was going to look after him and I was going to take on the 2 boys myself. As years went by and the boys became young adults, I then decided to see if I could look after other people's children, and I've been doing that now for a number of years. I really enjoy it.
We've undertook some training. We went for 2 days, and it was the first time we got to meet people like us who were also considering to be foster carers, and it was really interesting because everyone from different backgrounds, and it was really nice to meet everyone and discuss things really. It was also the first time we met other social workers, because at that time we had only met one. First placement we had was, because we lived with siblings, was a brother and sister of 3 and 6. They were with us for well over 2 years, until they returned. They went back to family. They got separated, and one went with an auntie and uncle, and the other one went with another auntie and uncle. And that was the first. They were the first ones who came to us.
Yeah.
And they were quite difficult at first because it was very new to us, and obviously very strange for them because they'd not been in care before. So it was the first time they'd been placed with someone different other than their mum. But we settled in quite quickly, and we still have contact with them, which is really nice.
I've been fostering for approximately 5 years now. Well, I was a little bit older when I came into fostering, so I've had various jobs, but basically in administration really. And I've always wanted to work with children, but I really didn't know in what capacity, so I ended up doing the fostering. They were very, very shy children, very, very well behaved children, very well behaved. The little boy, the middle one, he was quite funny, he's got quite a good sense of humour, and the little girl, who's the youngest, she is like, she's the quietest of the 3, but you know, she's coming on really, really well now. She's at secondary school. I must admit that when I first contemplated fostering, I was a little bit, not worried, but I had a few concerns about how my family would take to it, especially my son, because we have got such a good relationship with me being a single mum. You know, the relationship's quite special, so that was a concern of mine. But he has excelled in what he can do with the children. He's taken the little boy under his wing, and he's like in between dad and big brother, so it's a really, really special relationship that they've got. And it's really, really nice to see him being so gentle, because he's quite big, you know, and it's nice to see him being so gentle with him, you know.
In addition, Julie and I arranged for extra tuition for him as well, in the year coming up to his SATs exams, and an awful lot of time spent at home dealing with homework and revision and so on and so forth, and it paid off. It paid off enormously, to the extent that his SATs grades were in excess of those that the teachers had predicted for him. Well, it was hard work on the part of the school, Julie, myself, and Katie and Rachel that helped as well. But also he wanted to learn, and that was a big part of it.
The changes in children that have lived with me sometimes very subtle. It's not something that changes overnight. It can take some time. They can be very quiet and withdrawn when they come, or they can be very boisterous and loud. But the subtle changes are that you might get they might tell you a joke, or you might just see a twinkle or a smile on the faces that's not been there before, or it could even be as simple as that these children are getting a restful night's sleep, that a child's probably, you know, just slept anywhere, or she's gone to bed and she's slept all night, which might be a big achievement. It might seem simple, but
obviously we try to cater for the needs of Muslim children first, but then they come from very diverse backgrounds. The two children we have at the moment are both from different ethnic minorities, and we've had children from mixed race background. That was a very interesting case with all the lovely curly hair, and we've had blonde hair, blue-eyed children. We had a beautiful baby girl, blonde hair, blue eyes. We had her from birth, and so yeah, it's been very interesting, and we've learnt a lot from them, and I think they've learnt from us too.
There isn't really that much information about the birth family. The little bit that I've got, I've been given by social workers and other people. The children were very neglected, very small for their age, hadn't been regularly to school, and really didn't have much of an extended family for support from mum. So they were quite an isolated group, the children, so therefore they didn't really have very many friends. So when they came here, kind of that's something that I looked at, about them joining local youth clubs, brownies, guides, you know, just trying to get them so that they had friends in the community, and it's worked amazingly well. Sometimes too well, when you've got children knocking at the door at 6 o'clock, can they play out, and it's like, no, it's tea time.
Well, we had two daughters living at home, Katie and our eldest daughter Rachel, who were, I think you were 11 and 12, were you?
Yeah.
11 and 12 at the time. Yeah, just the four of us. For a number of years we'd been involved in bringing children over from Belarus for respite care, and after 3 or 4 years decided that we'd like to get involved with children in need a little bit closer to home. The first children we fostered were a brother and sister who were, I think they were about 13 and 14, and they stopped with us for, well, the sister stopped with us for a couple of years, and the brother stopped with us right through to leaving home and becoming independent. Although he's still in touch now, I regularly go fishing with him. We fostered two babies, which was excellent, but my wife found it very difficult to give them up at the end, because she'd become emotionally attached to them as you would. And we've done several short-term foster placements involving young teenagers in the main. And presently we've got two long-term placements with us, two brothers who are now aged 13 and 14. They've been with us about 5 years and will stay with us through to becoming independent. It changes your family life completely.
One little boy that we had came to us and was quite violent in some ways. Violent towards his sister, violent towards us, would kick and bite, but was scared. There'd been domestic violence issues, but very quickly, within 2 weeks, he realised that wasn't acceptable, that he wasn't to behave like that, that we didn't behave like that to him, and it stopped, didn't it?
Yeah.
The children I've looked after in the periods over the last 30 years I've done respite care, and that's to help other foster carers or parents who need a break from the children. So they'll come and stay perhaps for a long weekend or for a few days. I've done pre-adoption children. I enjoyed that, but I found it difficult to let the children go because he was only a young child, so I weren't too happy about letting him go. I've done short-term fostering, I've done long-term fostering, and I've done permanency fostering.
You've got to remember that some of the children that you do have a lot of underlying emotional problems and past experiences, and so sometimes attitude or a little bit of commotion and fuss is inevitable, and you've got to sometimes just learn to not necessarily ignore it completely, because at some point it does need to be challenged and addressed, but sometimes, you know, if you get pick your battles. Yeah.
I think you're spot on with these like underlying issues. It's like the affection, you know, and the sort of emotional ties that they may well have. It's quite difficult sometimes to literally just see, just off the cuff, what they may well be. But there'll be some sort of instances where they may ask you for a hug, but just know what to do appropriate that protect yourself as carers and also protect the children. Because they may obviously have these nasty experiences, and we need to make sure we're safe as well as they are, and also comfortable in that sort of environment.
I've really enjoyed it. It's different because I'm used to just being me and my sister, my mum and dad, but no, I really enjoyed it. Everyone we've had, it's been really good, yeah. It's made me open my eyes a bit to everything, made me appreciate things a bit more, so yeah, it's good.
I've been a foster carer now for 34 years. Foster carer definitely needs, as a good quality, to have a good sense of humour, because you will do a lot of laughing and you'll do some crying, but you need a good sense of humour, and you need to be able to relate to children on their level. You need to, you know, not be the adult, but to come down and understand what they're saying and have empathy and sympathy of where they've come from and what they've been dealing with. So, but a good sense of humour is what you need.
The first training was the skills to foster course, which was very good, quite eye-opening in places. There was one particular exercise that stood out for me that involved a number of building blocks, and on each of the building blocks was a particular ingredient, if you like, that was required to bring up a child. Love, nutrition, all the full spectrum there, and they were built into a wall, and if you removed some of those blocks from the wall, eventually the whole wall came down. Yeah, there's constant liaison with the children's social worker in relation to their ongoing development and tweaking in relation to contacts and so on and so forth. At times there are occasions where you don't necessarily agree with a particular proposal that the social worker's made, and then it's a question of sort of talking it out and reaching a sort of happy compromise, really, based on what's best for the child. The social worker is obviously fully aware of the background to the case and so on and so forth. But in relation to sort of day-to-day living and the way the lads are, we probably are more sort of familiar with far more familiar with the children than the social worker is. So that sometimes leads to a degree of sort of difference of views and so on and so forth. But generally they can be sorted out.
We've often had a planning meeting, so we've met the child, we met the social workers that are involved, foster carers, if they were able to come, and just have an idea on what the child likes, dislikes, and the general just attitude of the child to see what we can offer and how, in a sense, we can maintain a nice balance.
The planning meetings are really good for consistency as well. So because we do respite, if a child's staying with long-term carers or they're with their family, we can get to know things like their regular bedtime, their eating habits, what foods they like, what foods they don't like. We found that was generally really supportive, the fact that we had the emergency duty team, and our own social worker was fantastic throughout it. You know, our supervising social worker, she told us exactly what to do, what we needed to think about, and also we've been working through the training booklet, which was useful in that it had the contact numbers in as well, and it was kind of fresh in my mind because I'd just been doing the training booklet to think, oh, initially we need to do this and this. So it kind of, the support network that's there stops you from panicking and probably falling to pieces in a sense.
You've got a plan of action, you just focus and get it done, really.
Yeah.
Working with social workers and my link worker has always been positive. It's good that they're there at the end of the phone if you're worried about something or you need something to be done, or it's good that they're there, and I've always been able to work. My relationship with my link worker has been really good over the years, and it's always been a positive. Even, you know, if I've been worried or I felt I can't cope or things aren't quite right, by the time I've spoke to her I always feel 100% better, and we've always been able to move on.
When I spoke to family, they said, oh, you're going to have naughty children possibly staying with you. And for some reason, foster children, from my perspective, you know, seem to get a bad press, and people have a really bad idea about them. And that's not the case at all. It's just not the foster children. It's not their fault. They're in foster care, you know, and I've really realised that they're not badly behaved. And if they are badly behaved, there's reasons behind it.
I think for foster carers, it's a sacrifice, but it's a very worthwhile sacrifice. Sacrificing your own feelings to help children to move on into families that are going to be forever families. I think that's the most exciting thing for me.
Since becoming a foster carer, I feel in myself that I have grown. It's been a very, very positive experience for them, very positive. The love was there and the nurturing, so yeah.
People have said, well, I've thought about doing it. I've always said to them, give it a go, you'll never know unless you try it. If I had the chance to start all over again, without a doubt I would do it again.
There's at least 2 of our friends that have actually gone into fostering as a result of seeing what we've done. I think if you've got room in your home and you've got room in your heart, and you've got the time and the patience and the understanding, do it. Give it a go. I just think it's such a tremendously worthwhile thing, and it's so enormously rewarding as well.
The challenge to us as a couple is to improve that child, have a strategy, have a plan to sort of improve that child, so that when they move on, you've done your best to equip that child, you know, so that they can be prepared for their next step. The icing on the cake is to see a child go out happy, smiling face, happy to be going where they're going to, and that's the reward you've got. And not unless you go through that, you'll never understand it.
it was difficult, but I've seen both sides of life, from living with my birth mum and living with Marcia, and I like living the way I live now. I think they need a heart. I don't think it needs to be written rules structurally. I think they need to go with the flow, because every child's different, everybody's not the same. A lot of people say that children what are in foster care are doing stuff because they're in foster care, but majority of the time they're just being teenagers, just normal teenagers. It's not because they're in care, and they've got to understand that. You know, they're just being normal, some of them. It's made a big difference to my life. If it weren't for Marcia, I don't know where I would be today. I'm a mum of 2, and I'm training to be a dental nurse, and if it weren't for the support of my mum, I don't know where I would be really. So it's made a big difference, not just to me but to my boys as well.
I've got a family now, I guess. Before I didn't really have it, but now I do, kind of thing. There's ups and downs, but there's gonna be, isn't there, so.
She's loving, she's there no matter what time of day, night, it's always there. I've rung Marcia up at 5 o'clock in the morning crying, and she's, I've scared her, but she's always been there. She's loving and she's fun, but she's not a walkover either. She's tough with us, and she's had to be tough with us, so they are the best company.
Thank you.